Paper article on Britain's unions argued that their strength was declining. The article's evidence was the decreasing number and size of strikes, as if the reason for the union's existence was to organize strikes.
Okay, so
Sure.
stop there. Tell me what, in your own words, did all of this say?
It's saying that they think the union's strength in Britain is declining, and that the reason is because of the strikes, that they're decreasing in size and numbers.
Excellent.
Should I continue to the next part?
Perfect.
Okay. Surely, in a modern industrial society, the calling of a strike is evidence that the negotiating position of the union was too weak. What does that even say? Let me turn off my notifications because they are distracting. Okay. Surely, in a modern industrial society, the calling of a strike is evidence that the negotiating position of the union was too weak. Okay. I think I got it. Okay. All right. Strong unions do not need to call strikes. They can concentrate their efforts on working with others in the labor market to achieve common goals, such as profitable and humane working conditions.
Okay. So one thing that I do is, so how I approach every LR question is I always read the stimulus first.
Mm-hmm.
I understand it. And then once I'm finished, I ask myself, is it an argument or set of facts? And what's the difference between an argument and just a statement?
An argument is making a claim.
An argument uses premises, but to try to justify a conclusion. So it's the conclusion part that makes it. 90% of stimuluses on the LSAT are arguments. So that just means conclusion. So before I even read the answer choices, I find my conclusion. So what sentence here would you highlight as the conclusion?
I would highlight that. Let's see. Maybe that strong unions do not need to call strikes.
Yeah, I'm debating between the calling of a strike is evidence that the negotiating position of the union was too weak, and strong unions do not need to call strike. But I think they're saying the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were to put this into different levels, or different categories, this first sentence, a newspaper article on Britain's unions argued that their strength was declining. This is what I would call an opinion of others, even though it's so that's a premise. We know that it's a premise. The article's evidence was this. So this is just another premise, right? We can't debate or claim like the evidence. The evidence is what the evidence is, right?
Right.
But then we come in here and we say, well, but surely in a modern society, the calling of a strike is evidence that the negotiating position of the union was too weak. Well, how do we know that? Strong unions do not need to call strikes. They can concentrate. So this sentence here is definitely support.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to say that the calling of a strike is evidence that the negotiating position of the union was too weak. Is the conclusion, but I really think strong unions do not need to call strikes. I really do think those two sentences are kind of saying the same thing.
I think so too, yeah.
I don't think we have to like overly think about that, but so this is our conclusion. What are we doing to that first opinion of others? Are we agreeing with it or disagreeing?
We are disagreeing, right?
Yes.
Unions argued that their strength was declining. Yeah.
So do we think that the strength is declining?
No, because the strength of a union shouldn't be measured in calling strikes. Right?
Don't need to call strikes. Excellent. And saying that the strength was declining. All right. So we're saying that essentially what we're saying is, hey, well, I'm gonna let you try this one again. Go ahead and tell me what you think the answer is.
Okay.
Okay. So A is saying
But
the negotiating position of a union is weak if the only means it has of achieving its end is a strike or the threat of a strike. Is that
mhm.
what this sentence, are these two sentences is saying? Is the reason that we wrote this to tell us that, hey, the negotiating position is weak if this happens? Is that the claim we're trying to make?
They're saying position of a union is weak if the only means. I don't think so.
Mm-mm. Do we talk about it? Okay, so it's not A. So I'm gonna give you this one and then we're gonna do another one together. So it's actually gonna be C, as in cat.
Mm-hmm.
There is no reason to believe, on the basis of what the newspaper said, the union strength in Britain is declining. Because
Okay.
Britain, so here we have that the newspaper says this, and why? Because
Mm-hmm.
they're decreasing number and size of strikes. Well,
Mm-hmm.
we counter that by saying, yeah, but strong unions don't need to call strikes.
Right.
So if we're saying that strong unions do not need to call strikes as our conclusion, what does that do to this claim?
We're disagreeing with that claim. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So our claim is like there's no reason to believe that the Britain unions are actually declining because
Mm-hmm.
the article's evidence is irrelevant.
Right. Okay. Okay, that makes sense.